Hi friends, it's Carly and I'm back again with another review. So today we're going to be taking a look at a figure that isn't directly involved in the storyline that we're looking at in Age of Apocalypse right now, but definitely played a key role in getting all of our characters to the point that they're at today. So I'm excited to take a look at and talk about the backstory of Legion. So Legion has a really fascinating backstory, origin, set of abilities, and everything about him is just really sort of interesting and dynamic. So Legion, David Haller, is the son of Charles Xavier and Gabrielle Haller, who he had a brief affair with, but who she never told she was pregnant. So when he's a child, David is living with his mother and his stepfather, and they are attacked by terrorists. During this terrorist attack, his mutant abilities emerge, and those abilities include the ability to invade the mind of other people and sort of just mess everything up that's in there. Part of that process might be partially absorbing those personality characteristics and mental characteristics, but in the beginning, as we know, when these mutant abilities emerge, everything is just sort of happening. So in the moment, he's incinerating the minds of all of these terrorists who are attacking his family, and his parents don't make it. But as a part of that process, he actually absorbs one of the terrorists' personalities, and it becomes one of his primary personalities. But the trauma of this leaves him catatonic for many years, and when he emerges, he has the ability to sort of bend people's perception of time. He can enter their minds. He can overtake their personalities. I think there's a bit of a question of whether he can actually manipulate time itself or manipulate reality itself, or if it's just his ability to get into people's minds, which he obviously would have gotten from his father. So he discovers what is going to happen with Apocalypse. And in an attempt to stop Apocalypse, he travels with Bishop back in time and is planning to kill Magneto, who is a key figure in the entire story of Apocalypse coming to power. But at the time that he goes back, Xavier and Magneto are friends, and Charles steps in to save Eric's life, and when that happens, Legion accidentally, unknowingly kills his own father, Charles Xavier. When that happens, it changes the entire timeline of events, sets everything forward 10 years, and that is where we find ourselves in the storyline that I'm in now, with Apocalypse having essentially taken over everything, decimated the human race and the mutant race, and that is where we are with Bishop traveling back in time to kill Magneto, which is what Legion had attempted to do in the beginning of everything that set off this whole string of events. So Legion is a really interesting character because of his abilities, and because such an intense trauma brought them forth. He actually has developed a number of mental illnesses that are diagnosed as schizophrenia, dissociative personality disorder, but it's questionable whether he actually possesses these mental disorders or whether he actually is absorbing so much psychic energy and, you know, the personalities and the minds and the memories of all of these characters that they actually are all a part of him and just emerge at different times, because he also has the ability to spontaneously mutate. So he'll have different mutant abilities at different times, and we don't know if those are from people that he's absorbed them from or if that's just part of who he is. But everything about him is loosely described as schizophrenic, meaning that his perception of reality, because of all of the different characteristics and personalities present in his mind, is very different. And because of his mutant talents, he's also able to shift those perceptions for the people around him. That is a very big and convoluted type of explanation, it feels like, but suffice it to say that he is powerful, and whether or not he is mentally ill, the way that he's described in a lot of the material that I read in my research on him, or whether he is just in possession of so much psychic energy that his reality is on another plane than everyone else's, kind of remains to be seen. But he definitely suffers some trauma that makes him a villainous character overall. So for me, this action figure is an excellent representation of Legion. He actually has his own comic book series, and that is where this design is drawn from. I think this is pretty spot on to one of the first covers of that series. This is exactly what he looked like. He has been comatose for years. He has woken up and then suffered more trauma. He's had therapists. His family were mutants. Like, he's had so much happen to him that he just has an abundance of energetic power. And it's just really interesting to know the way that he sort of set things into motion, even though it appears that his intentions were good. Whether or not sacrificing someone is the right way to go about it, he was willing to do the hard thing that it would take in order to stop Apocalypse, and he just made a critical mistake. So it's kind of interesting to see where we are now in the story with Bishop making the decision, taking it in his own hands to do exactly what Legion did in retrospect, knowing what had happened because of his mistake. So it makes you wonder who are the good guys and who are the bad guys really in this situation, but that's a whole other can of worms. Anyway, so I am really stoked about the way this Legion looks. I feel like this is a very less is more design that is 100% true to the design of the character in the comic books. I am loving his facial expression. Because first of all, for me, he definitely looks like a young Charles. And second of all, the expression really sort of expresses that we don't really know what's going on in his mind. He definitely seems to be someone who has more insight than we will. Not just that we do currently, but that we will overall, that we can. So I really love that expression, that sort of like smug, just all-knowing kind of look, that whether or not he is mentally stable, whether he thinks that he knows more than we do or not, like, that is his reality, and it's definitely portrayed really, really well in his countenance. So the articulation on this figure is great. He's just wearing his simple, this is probably from the last hospital that he got out of, and he doesn't have any shoes, so it's just plain feet here. And the articulation on this figure is really great. He has a nice mid-sized form, so whenever we see these body types that are sort of not the smallest, and not like the bulky upper body ones, but sort of the more athletic, thinner ones, we always get really great articulation out of these, and this one is no exception. He moves very fluidly, very smoothly at all of his joints. He has all the points of articulation because he's not overly muscled and bulky. It's very easy to make use of all of the points of articulation with excellent range of motion in all of them. He has a great lateral lift. You can turn to get good splits. He has the thigh turn. When you bend his knees and his elbows, you get a bend all the way up the way that you would like to because he's not overly bulky. And he does not have the boot turn because of his, these are like sort of pajama bottoms, if you will. So he doesn't have the boot turn, but he does have a fully flexible ankle that does everything that you would expect an ankle to do and a lot of things that you wouldn't expect an ankle to do. So I am really, really happy with the way that this figure looks and the way that he moves. But more than anything, it's the character that is really dynamic to me. He really has this air of sort of like smug certainty about him, but when you know the origins, you just can't help but ask a lot of questions about what's really going on with this guy. If his powers had emerged at a different time, would he be different? Or is it the nature of his mutant powers when he is in someone's mind, sort of messing around in there, would he always have absorbed those personality traits and parts of them and always had to sort of struggle with that, minus the external trauma that he was dealing with at the time that they emerged? So I am really just intrigued by this character. I am going to be reading his individual series, and I'm going to be looking for obviously more about him in the Age of Apocalypse. But this is a satisfying figure to me that I didn't know much about going in. He looked really plain. I wasn't sure that I would be very excited about it, but more because He's executed as well as a simple figure like this can be. There's absolutely nothing that doesn't work on this. He looks great. The colors are great. The facial sculpt is great. But knowing the character, the figure really tells the story well, I think. So I'm really stoked to have him. And I'm really excited to learn more about Legion 2. I'll be reading the Legion comic. I'm working on getting that right now. I found a place I could read it online, but I always like to have physical comics if I can, so I'm working on it. But let me know what you guys think of this figure. While he isn't in the portion of the story that we're reading right now, he is, I would say, the key figure in everything that happens in Age of Apocalypse. And I think it's really cool to have him included in this wave, and it's a satisfying figure. So I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. I will be looking next at Cyclops, who also isn't in this series, but we will be finishing up with the really good ones. So I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow for another video. Please let me know what else you'd like to see me talk about. We are winding down on our Age of Apocalypse. We only have 3 more figures to go, and that includes the Cyclops bath, the Colossus bath. I am very, very excited to take a look at him as I'm putting him together. It's getting better and better every second, and I just can't wait to talk to you guys about it. So thank you for being here. I can't wait to do another one, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this Legion. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye, friends.